Hi there, I'm Chloe and this is my awesome partner, Wan Qi. Together we make up Fine Print. Today we're going to share with you some insights we have gathered on entertainment education as a strategy to encourage secondary school students to engage with local literature. According to the National Literary Reading and Writing Survey 2015, 44% of Singaporeans have read at least one literary book in the past 12 months, and only 27% of these readers have read books by Singaporean writers in the same time frame. Nearly half of the respondents who did not read Singapore literature claimed a lack of awareness, and 26% of them stated a lack of interest. Despite a lack of public reception towards local literature, there have still been top-down efforts in generating interest in the literary arts scene, such as the annual Singapore Writers Festival, Read Singapore, and the SG Author Series. These initiatives, however, have been met with general disinterest from the public. This suggests that there hasn't been any initiatives that were able to be successful in reaching out to the public, and that these events interested only the local literary circle and were unlikely to spark any interest in the average Singaporean. Let's dive into reasons on how local literature tends to be dismissed and why we should read local literature, shall we? In Singapore, literature is first formally introduced as a subject in the secondary school level, which means that they are more likely to be introduced to local literature at this stage. However, the number of students taking O-levels literature has decreased from 48% in 1992 to 9% in 2012. With an exam-oriented education system like ours, students tend to prefer mathematics and the sciences, as these are deemed easier to score in comparison to literature. With seemingly half-hearted attempts at advocating for local literature, the lack of a concerted top-down push suggests that there is a need for more ground-up efforts and more creative ways of getting students to engage in local literature. But wait a minute, why is reading local literature important? Well, firstly, reading cultivates empathy. When readers are exposed to the many literary genres, settings, and cultures that are not of their own, it triggers narrative imagination that promotes empathy in a multicultural state such as Singapore. Reading also creates emotions of identification, and Singapore literature reflects the kaleidoscopic culture of our society, highlighting many opportunities in which the regular Singaporeans would be able to identify with. With that, the reason why we chose secondary school students as our target audience is because they are the ones with the first formal exposure to local literature. They're also in the transition period from childhood to adulthood, where they are sensation-seeking, more likely to engage in risk-taking, and becoming independent decision makers. As such, introducing them to local literature at this age is ideal, as it is perceived as novelty to allow them to form their own perceptions towards it. There has been several literature-related initiatives targeted at students, such as Words Go Round, a school outreach program with the main agenda to promote authors' books, where there isn't much student engagement. Another initiative is the National Schools Literature Festival, where schools come together to have prose debates, choral speaking, and storytelling sessions. It has received rave reviews from students, but these activities are largely educational in nature. Surely, there could be a creative way of combining both fun and education to make local literature engaging and appealing to students. With all that said, there is currently a lack of awareness, leading to a lack of impetus in motivating students to read local literature. This results in a lack of support and a lack of targeted media attention. The opportunity gap is in that many secondary school students are not aware of local literature and authors and are not motivated to try it. Hence, they are not triggered to take the first step in engaging in local literature. Therefore, in our FYP campaign, we want to see three things happening. First, an increase in the number of secondary school students who have a more positive perception of local literature. Second, an increase in awareness of the fun and interactive ways of engaging with local literature. And third, an increase in the number of students whose interests are piqued and intend to read local literature. So in order to close this gap, we want to engage them in local literature by introducing local literature as a form of edutainment.
That's where our entertainment education strategy comes in. Also known as edutainment, it is defined as the intentional placement of educational content in entertainment messages. However, knowledge gaps still exist in our current understanding of the EE strategy with regard to promoting local literature to secondary school students. Namely, should there be more emphasis on the entertainment component or on the education aspect? Or should it purely be entertainment? And that's exactly what we're going to find out. We're going to test the effectiveness of edutainment appeals at 3 different levels. The first level is an entertainment-only level with shareable content. The second level is entertainment education with an emphasis on entertainment using the tactic You're the Protagonist escape room. And the last level is education entertainment with an emphasis on education with the tactic What's Your Version contest. So what's in it for advertising and PR campaigners? Well, we are going to answer questions like how effective is the edutainment appeal in youth campaigns? And what is the right mix of entertainment and education? Finding out the right mix helps campaigners to craft better strategies and messages that will appeal to youths. In order to test the levels of entertainment and education components, we conducted focus group discussions with secondary school students who were recruited through a purposive convenience sampling. We had a total of 10 participants. Prototypes that reflected each of our edutainment approaches were shown to the participants, and they are entertainment-only prototype, such as shareable videos and articles. Entertainment education, You're the Protagonist escape room, where students play the protagonist of a local literary plot and try to escape from the room. And lastly, education entertainment, What's Your Version? A contest where students come up with creative adaptations of local prose and poetry. Firstly, we found out that the students had low awareness and low impetus towards local literary works and authors. They also showed little motivations to find out more about local literature or in engaging in it. Secondly, we found that students had apathetic attitudes towards local literature. The majority were uninterested and somewhat indifferent towards engaging in it. Well, this is not surprising as they had little experiences with local literature and their first exposure was probably from school where literature is a compulsory subject. Overall, the students were willing to read local literature if it is interesting or if their friends recommend it. But there are many barriers to overcome to convince them to read local literature, such as lack of awareness, preconceived attitudes, perceptions, and stereotypes that hinder them from having an impetus to pick up a local book or to engage in local literature. In summary, the causal effects of these findings are interchangeable and do not need to have a linear relationship. In other words, the campaign need not necessarily aim to raise awareness of local literature and educate students on different books and genres available, but you can also start from elsewhere, such as changing perceptions first and then seeding in knowledge. First, let's take a look at the entertainment appeal. Generally, students love entertainment. Student G said, I think all these videos are interesting and fun to watch. Usually when we have nothing better to do, we will just watch this kind of videos to pass time or relax. Some, including Student B, also felt that the shareable contents piqued their curiosity. Student B said, I will be curious to find out what are the life hacks on top 10 thriller books in Singapore because I like crime. The entertainment appeal is useful in grabbing attention, attracting students to click and watch or read the contents. Students find such content fun and entertaining, making it easy to share with their peers as well. However, the entertainment appeal carries risks. The promotion of reading, literature or books will almost immediately turn them away. Student E shared, I will look at the title first to see if it's interesting. If the title tells me that the video is about books, then I won't watch it lah, it's boring. This means that students decide whether or not to read or watch a content based on its title, and they do not like straightforward approaches in educating them to a call to action, such as a video plainly telling them the benefits of reading or to support local authors. This makes it difficult to create meaningful content deep enough to inform or change attitudes. Otherwise, it risks resembling mindless clickbait articles and SGAG lookalikes. Overall, all the participants liked the You're the Protagonist escape room tactic. Student H said, It sounds fun! There is an element of suspense and I like playing games with my friends. I've never been to one before and I would want to try it. Others also like that the game brings a narrative to life. Student B said, I like crime stories, so it's interesting to experience in real life the narrative of the story. I would be curious to find out what happens after playing the game, and I would be interested in the book. We found that students will be more receptive towards the book, where the narrative was taken from. As they immerse themselves in a 4D experience and interact with the plot, they are actively engaging in local literature. So these new experiences will help reshape their perception and attitudes towards local literature to bring about a more positive one, lowering their barriers to the next interaction. The game will end on a cliffhanger and they will compel them to follow the story in the book. Finding the sweet spot for the educational aspect to come in is crucial. Campaigners must find an opening to intercept the entertainment aspect of the tactic without taking out the fun. This means that it is also important to ask how much is too much, and carefully plan out the amount of information to educate. In conclusion, the entertainment education appeal is highly effective when there is the right mix of entertainment and education. Students were interested and wanted to play the game because of the high entertainment value the escape room has. Knowing that the theme of the escape room is adapted from a local book worked in our favour as participants thought that it was novel and a great idea. That was the sweet spot we have identified, where golden nuggets of truth, i.e. information in bite-sized pieces, could be dropped to educate them about local literature. Finally, there is the education entertainment appeal. The difficulty in using this appeal is getting students' attention and participation in local literature when the subject does not even appeal to them. Furthermore, What's Your Version contest requires a substantial amount of time for students to analyze the local prose or poem, think of an idea, perform and then film it. Therefore, to overcome this time barrier, we recommend partnering with schools to make the contest a part of their curriculum. This appeal is useful for communicating ideas and messages while maintaining some level of fun and entertainment. This contest is highly focused on the education aspect of the appeal, especially through hands-on work by reinterpreting the local text from their own perspective. Through this, students will have deep and meaningful interactions with local literature, more so than the other appeals mentioned. The entertainment aspect ties in neatly as students enjoy the process and have fun working together to make a skit, create a song, dance, etc. Despite this entertainment aspect, however, we found that the students were quite lukewarm towards the idea of having this contest. Even though it was interesting to them, they were hesitant to put in a substantial amount of effort to do it. As such, our FYP campaign seeks to close this gap by reintroducing local literature as a form of edutainment, dispelling apathetic attitudes and giving them the impetus to engage in local literature through edutainment strategies. So what does this mean for the advertising industry? Through the pilot test, there seems to be a linear relationship where the more the entertainment and the less the education, the more positive reception towards the strategy. The entertainment appeal is great at catching the attention of huge masses and attracting youth to engage in the activity, but it may not be meaningful enough in calling for action. The converse is also true. The less the entertainment and the more the education, the less receptive students are towards the strategy. The difficulty lies in getting the students' participation when the subject doesn't appeal to them. Thus, it is likely that only few students will participate in the activity. However, the high level of education makes it possible to have deep and meaningful interactions with the campaign. The edutainment appeal, when done well, is a powerful strategy that will not only change attitudes, but also give youths the impetus needed to find out more about your campaign. Having the right mix of entertainment and education is key. Too much entertainment may dilute the message, and too much education may be unappealing to youths. Therefore, it is essential to find the balance between both components. With the entertainment education appeal, the strategy is primarily entertaining and at the same time with an adequate level of education. Youths will be attracted and hence participate in the activity, making it possible to engage in meaningful interactions with the campaign. This strategy would be useful for brands that want to penetrate into the youth target group. So, what's next? Well, the pilot test has proven to be of great help in closing the knowledge gap on whether edutainment was the right direction to go forth for FYP. However, as the pilot test has not yet reached information saturation, more focus group discussions will still need to be conducted to validate the current findings. There were also unexpected results. We thought that if students had positive experiences with local literature in the past, then they would probably have a more positive change of perception or attitude towards local literature. Sounds logical, right? But that didn't happen. We found that enjoyment didn't necessarily equate to attitude or behavioral change. In conclusion, we are able to charge forward using the edutainment appeal as our core strategy. The entertainment aspect has had positive reception, while the education aspect has had a mixed reception, depending on the perceived relevance and self-efficacy on engaging in it. The next step for us would be to continue to hold more focus group discussions to sharpen our tactics and to ensure that we fully utilize the edutainment appeal, where students gain the impetus to engage and even enjoy local literature because it is entertaining and fun. So that's all we have for now. Thank you and stay tuned.